A useless person who doesn't work is a divorce waiting to happen. Where did the kind Michael, with his charming crinkly smile, go after our marriage? With his promotion came a transfer. It's a nationwide bank, so who knows when he'll be able to return here. That's why I quit my longtime job to follow him when he asked me to come along. Honestly, there's no point in being with such a person. Fine by me. I was overjoyed to finally get a divorce and, thinking of it as a good omen for the future, I bought a lottery ticket. Then, to my surprise, I won a huge amount. I've come to collect my $12 million. Just as I was about to reclaim a happy life with the $12 million, Michael caught wind of it. I had already seen through what he was up to. I can't forgive him for trying to take the money for himself and live his life exactly as he wants. I'm tired of him constantly belittling others, so I've decided to fight back. I am Sarah Johnson, a 35-year-old housewife. I used to work at the city office for about 10 years after graduating from high school. I thought my life would uneventfully continue as a city office employee until retirement. But everything changed since that time. I met my husband, Michael, at a restaurant near the city office. It's a fairly large restaurant with a diverse menu, often visited after meetings or completing significant tasks. That day, after finishing chairing a meeting, I went to the restaurant alone to treat myself to a nice lunch. What's recommended here, I wonder? There was a man in front of the store, puzzling over the menu. Indeed, with its extensive menu and colorful in-store pop-up signs, many customers seem to have a hard time deciding what to eat. The man, tracing his finger over pop-ups saying, #1 popular dish, recommended, and manager's pick, caught my attention in an unusual way. Normally, I would have ignored him, but something about him intrigued me, and I found myself speaking to him. If you're eating here, I like the chicken Napolitan. It's sweet and spicy, really tasty. Chicken Napolitan? Is that on the menu? Yes. The chicken and Napolitan ketchup blend together perfectly, it's really delicious. Then I guess I'll try that. His crinkly smile was so charming, I found myself captivated. At first, he seemed like a competent businessman, but his smile gave him a boyish appearance. Hey, that strap keychain you have, is that? Oh, this? I got into it because of my sister and even went to their concert recently. That's the concert of that band, right? I went too. It was amazing. Discovering we liked the same artist, we hit it off and unexpectedly ended up having lunch together. It was a familiar place, lunchtime, and above all, the conversation was enjoyable, even if it was brief. I felt a sense of fulfillment that our lunch break conversation wasn't enough. It seemed Michael felt the same way, as he approached me when we were leaving. If you don't mind, I'd like to meet like this again. Could we exchange contact information? My usual day at the usual place had taken an unexpected turn. Is this kind of dramatic encounter even real? Despite my doubts, we exchanged contact details. I wanted to talk more with him, and it was exciting to share such enthusiasm together. Afterwards, we started spending more time together, going out for meals, and attending events. Naturally drawn to each other, we started dating and eventually got married. We got married when I was 33 and Michael was 34. I was cherishing the happiness of spending my life with Michael. But things didn't go as smoothly as I hoped. Sarah, I need to talk to you about something. Michael came home with a troubled look on his face. What's wrong with that face? Come on, let's eat dinner quickly. I've been transferred. I thought I should tell Sarah as soon as possible. I couldn't quite grasp this sudden news. Transferred? What do you mean by that? They said I should go out and see the world as part of my promotion. And it's kind of non-negotiable. I was surprised, but half of my mind thought it couldn't be helped. After all, Michael is a banker, and the bank he works at has many branches around here. So a transfer seemed inevitable. I was somewhat prepared for a transfer, but what struck me was Michael's words and expression. Would a normal transfer make him look this gloomy? Wait a minute. What do you mean by the outside world? And is there something difficult for you to say? Actually, the transfer is to New York. They told me to go there and train at one of the branches. What? So suddenly. I knew you might be transferred since you're a banker, but to New York. Of all places. We lived in a provincial city, and New York was quite a distance away. We had discussed what would happen if he was transferred before we got married. And I had told him I wanted him to go alone if that happened. However, Michael was about to break that promise. Please, Sarah. I want you to come with me. Wait a minute. I have a job too. I know it's difficult, but I just can't bear to be apart from you. You want me to quit my job and follow you to New York. But what if you're transferred back to a branch here in a few years? Why not go to New York? Alone for the time being? Then, Michael reluctantly answered. I thought about that too. But our bank has branches all over the country. And there's no guarantee I'll be transferred back to this region. That's so sudden. I don't know what to say. Besides, being transferred to New York means I'm on the path to promotion. It'll allow me to provide a better life for you. Then, Michael clasped his hands together as if praying and pleaded with me. I know it's a lot to ask you to quit your job suddenly. But I hate the idea of going alone. I'm serious about advancing in my career. So please come with me. After such a plea, I couldn't refuse. Honestly, if Michael went to his new post alone, I didn't know what would happen to our life. Besides, we'd been talking about wanting children as soon as possible. So living separately seemed unrealistic. Okay, I'll follow you. But you have to work hard in return, alright? Thank you. I'll work my hardest. I'll become a branch manager in the future and make life easier for you. I wish I could tell myself back then not to follow him. In New York, Michael seemed like a changed man. Maybe he became a workaholic, or perhaps it was something else, but his smile had vanished. Welcome home. Ready for dinner? Huh? How can I eat when I'm this tired? With a lifeless expression, he staggered to the bedroom, exhausted. Mornings were early, and our days began without even a good morning. Michael, you look pale. Are you okay? I haven't seen his crinkly smile in a while. We hardly ever eat together, and he usually comes home after midnight. I heard weekends were generally his days off, but he's rarely at home. Even when he is, he stays shut in the bedroom. It's almost like living alone. Maybe I should have insisted on him going alone. Was there even a point in quitting my job to follow him to New York? But no matter how much I talk to myself, it's too late for regrets. I need to find something to do for myself. It's a waste to just spend my days aimlessly. Then one day, I had an idea when I saw a flyer in my mailbox. Since I was always at home, I thought about starting some work and applied to a nearby cafe that was hiring. They were desperately short-staffed and hired me immediately. For me, who had only ever done office work, everything at the cafe was new and exciting. And above all, seeing the customers' smiles made me happy. The cafe I worked at was famous for its latte art. And customers visited daily specifically to see the owner's art. I thought how fun it would be if I could make such beautiful latte art too. Working at this cafe in New York, I found a new joy. In my free time, I learned latte art from the manager and spent fulfilling days. Gradually, I started to dream of making latte art part of my career. That's when I began to vaguely think about starting my own business. Having my own shop and spreading the joy of latte art would be so much fun. I used these daydreams to escape from the reality of drifting apart from Michael. Eventually, what started as escapism became a solid goal, and I began to research how to own my own shop. But that wasn't all. Maybe I'll try my luck. I also started buying lottery tickets as a way to test my fortune. Working at the cafe was fun, and it provided me with some personal income. I thought it was killing two birds with one stone, but Michael didn't seem to approve. One day, while I was practicing latte art on my day off, Michael spoke to me in a displeased tone. "Hey, what's with you lately, Sarah?" "What do you mean? Is there something odd going on?" "No, you're always out having fun, neglecting the housework. There's dust accumulating, and meals aren't prepared." Of course, I have been doing what I should, on top of working part-time and practicing latte art. I used to prepare breakfast and dinner for Michael. However, as Michael started coming home late at night and often left in the morning without eating, I stopped cooking recently. "You haven't been eating at home lately, Michael." "That's not the point, is it?" "What are you saying? Are you making excuses for not wanting to do it?" He wasn't the kind of person to speak so aggressively before, but he seems to have changed after being transferred to New York. "And about this cafe or latte art, whatever it is. Aren't you embarrassed to be playing around like that as a banker's wife? And talking about wanting kids but not even cooking properly, isn't that failing as a wife?" In fact, I've been going to the hospital in between my part-time work. And it seems the issue isn't with me. Please don't say I'm playing around. "And about the child. There's no issue with me, so the doctor said to bring you next time." "When can you go, Michael?" Then Michael suddenly started yelling and raised his hand in anger. "What's that supposed to mean? Are you saying it's my fault?" "Nobody's saying that. I was just asking when you could come to the doctor with me, that's all. I've told you I'm busy with work, how many times do you need to hear it? I'm not like you, playing around with coffee all day, don't lump me in with that." I was shocked to hear him say such things. Where had Michael with the crinkly smile gone? Since coming to New York, he seemed like a completely different person. Ugh, I really can't stand this. I'm going to work. Wait, isn't it your day off today? And it's already evening. I've got some unfinished business. It's none of your business, all right? He left, but it didn't look like he was dressed for work. He was in casual clothes and sprayed himself with cologne 2 or 3 times before leaving. "Hey, have you always worn cologne?" My casual question was met with a glare from Michael and then ignored. His frequent sudden departures from home, claiming it was work, and his increasingly irritable behavior were pushing me to my limits. Honestly, I want to build a good relationship with Michael. Living in an unfamiliar place, he's my only family, and I want us to support and help each other. But I had noticed that the way Michael looked at me had changed significantly from before. It's time for a proper conversation. If he's dissatisfied with me, I want to know so I can make changes. "Hey, can we talk for a minute?" Good timing. I have something to talk about too. Michael saying he had something serious to talk about was unusual. I sat down in a living room chair, pondering what it could be. Sitting opposite Michael in these chairs, I wonder when was the last time we did this. We haven't really faced each other properly recently. So, what did you want to talk about? You must know what I'm talking about, right? What do you mean? You're so clueless. That's why you can't get a proper job. I could overlook Michael criticizing me for now, but I couldn't stand him belittling the job I love. Whether you respect my job or not, it's wrong to mock someone's work, especially when they do it with passion. Despite my initial resistance to moving and living in a new place, I found a passion for latte art here and dreamed of making it the foundation of my life. It felt like Michael had callously tainted that dream. There's no justification for mocking the dream I found for myself, to own a shop and make latte art my profession. Huh? Work? Calling that kind of playtime a job is even more embarrassing. It's like playing house, it doesn't count as a real job. Enough already. What are you trying to say? Then, with a smirk, Michael started waving a piece of paper. A useless person who doesn't work is a divorce waiting to happen. Saying that, he handed me a divorce paper. Divorce papers? Yes. You don't work and just live off your husband. You should recognize the difference in our positions. I see, so that's the kind of person you are. I'm busy with work, and I don't have the luxury to support a parasite. Does he think I'll cling to him, not wanting a divorce? He handed over the divorce papers and stood there, smirking at me. He's probably not amused that I'm just staring at the divorce papers. His tone is becoming more irritated. You don't want to divorce, right? A high school graduate who doesn't work properly can't possibly find a job now. What should I do with this, I wonder? Hurry up. This slowness is exactly why you can't work properly. He wants to divorce as soon as possible, that desire is clear. Michael is full of impatience, embarrassingly starting to fidget. The face glaring at me while fidgeting is not the Michael I once loved. Why did I fall for such a person, and why did I come to such a far place without knowing anyone? It's all too late now. There's only one thing to do now. Facing my provocative husband, I brightly responded. Okay, I agree. Really? Remember, you can't change your mind later. I wouldn't do that. You brought this paper because you want a divorce, right? I'm done being afraid and walking on eggshells around Michael's moods. Smiling, I took the divorce papers and told him. And about this divorce paper, I'll file it myself. You better actually file it. I'll know if you do anything strange. Stop it already. When I say I'll do something, I do it. Don't worry. After filing the divorce papers and becoming free, I decided to check the results of a lottery ticket to see what my future holds. I went to the familiar lottery ticket booth, where the usual lady was working. While chatting, I handed her my ticket. She scanned it and suddenly disappeared with a strange noise. Wondering what happened, it seemed she fell off her chair. I was startled, but then I saw unbelievable numbers on the small display. Along with it, congratulations. 1, 10, 100, 12 million. I was so shocked, I couldn't speak. This was a great restart. With this amount of money, my dream of owning my shop feels much closer. I went to the bank where my ex-husband works to cash in the ticket. It wasn't for any particular reason, just that his bank was nearby. Little did I know that visiting this bank would significantly change things for me. Carrying such a large sum was honestly scary. So I rushed to the bank just before closing to cash it in. While waiting after being served, a woman approached me with a smirk. What brings you here, going out of your way like this? I thought it was quite a rude way for a bank employee to speak. No, nothing much really. Thanks for going out of your way to come here. Out of my way. What's with you since a while ago? Anyway, please take care of this. Oh, nothing. What is this, may I ask? Ruby looked puzzled at the lottery ticket I was holding. I'm here for cashing it in today. Cashing in? I can't believe you bought a lottery ticket. Using your husband's hard-earned money to buy lottery tickets, what a luxury. The bank was crowded, so Ruby's rude words were only audible up close. People just passed by without noticing anything unusual. I couldn't believe there was such a rude bank employee, but I decided to just get things done quickly. I've come to collect my $12 million. At this, Ruby's smirking expression changed abruptly, and she stared at me. The $12 million. Her sudden loud voice startled me. Then, without a word of excuse, she retreated into a back room. I was led to the manager's office due to the large amount of the prize. The procedure to receive the $12 million went smoothly. But I was still bothered by that extremely rude bank employee. Her way of looking at me as if sizing me up made me feel uncomfortable. I opened my laptop as soon as I got home. I remembered that the bank, where Michael worked, a national-scale bank, had blogs for each branch to post daily happenings and promotions. There must be something that could give me a hint about that rude woman. While browsing the blog, I managed to find out the name of that rude bank employee. Knowing her name would be advantageous. While I was researching the woman, I received a message. It was from Michael, asking if we could meet tonight. Honestly, there's no need to meet him now that we're divorced and practically strangers. But I decided to indulge him this once. Knowing Michael's pride, I thought it must be a great humiliation for him to contact me. His message was full of condescension. I thought I'd meet you since you must be feeling lonely. And I contacted you thinking you might be struggling living alone. How unnecessary. Though internally boiling with anger, I wanted to put an end to this. So I agreed to meet at a cafe. When we met, Michael immediately started speaking. Hey, why don't we start over? I've been thinking a lot since then. Start over?
Yeah.
Back then, I was hot-headed and said things I didn't mean. So, you want to meet and start over? Michael looked intently at me and continued. Right. We had a little misunderstanding. But if we start over, I believe we can be a good couple. Staring at Michael, who seemed to be intoxicated with his own words, I decided to put an end to it. If you insist, we can think about starting over. Really? That's why you're the one, Sarah. Did you really think I'd say that? Michael looked at me in confusion, so I decided to enlighten him. Unfortunately, I'm glad we divorced. And the reason you want to restart is for the money, right? Money? What are you talking about? No use playing dumb. You thought you could have it all to yourself, right? Then Michael leaned forward abruptly across the table, appealing to me. No, I wouldn't use it all by myself. Besides, with $12 million, we could even buy our own house. And it would be perfect for a fresh start, right? I never said anything about $12 million. Realizing his mistake, Michael hurriedly covered his mouth, but it was too late. He had already let the cat out of the bag, and now trying to cover up was futile. The tongue is the source of misfortune, as the saying goes. And it perfectly applies to my ex-husband. You cheated on me during your transfer. Made a fuss about divorce because I became a nuisance. And now you want to remarry for money? Don't make me laugh. No, it's not about the money, it's just that. Do you even realize what you are doing or saying? Michael looked uncomfortable and restless. You heard about the money from that woman Ruby, didn't you? What? What are you talking about? I know you're dating her. You thought if we got back together, you could buy her more gifts. Michael was sweating profusely despite the cold weather. That's not true. You thought you could fool me with some random story? I showed Michael a photo I had with me. I thought something was off, so when I went to the bank, I kept an eye on what was going on inside. Then this very rude woman approached me. I thought she lacked manners, but turns out she's your girlfriend, huh? The photo I had was of Michael and Ruby standing together. They were too close to be just colleagues, more like a couple. It would be hard to pass it off as just a workplace relationship. If he was still trying to deny it, he should think again. The cafe where I work turns into a bar at night. I heard from the owner and my coworkers that you two were seen there on a date. I had my suspicions, but I never thought it was true. No, it's just that. I heard from the owner that you've been visiting the cafe at night for about 2 years now. Michael was trembling, holding the photo. Maybe he's worried about being seen. So, you were busy cheating while I was working part-time during the day, planning to leave me and be together with the younger and prettier Ruby, right? Michael had no words to say, just looked down. But then, you changed your mind when I won the lottery. Especially after hearing it was a large amount. Michael looked at me as if struck by the truth. You thought if we got back together, you could leech off me as your wife, right? Yes, that's right. Money is a shared property in a marriage, isn't it? We've been living together for years, and if we're going to live together again, it's definitely shared property. But wait, are you serious with what you're saying? I sighed at Michael's words. He presented the divorce papers himself and now talks as if we're getting back together. Indeed, I have a lottery ticket, and it just so happens to be a big win. But I bought it after we divorced, after the divorce papers were submitted. What? What does that mean? Be clear. It means it's not subject to property division. I've already confirmed this with a lawyer. Michael looked at me with a bitter expression. You thought you could just casually come back to live with me once my finances improved, right? I never said anything like that. No, but that's the reality, isn't it? I overheard it. I operated my smartphone. What came out was an audio recording. Amidst the background noise, a conversation could be heard. The recording was of Michael and Ruby discussing how they could benefit from the $12 million I won. The conversation included their plans for using the money to buy a house and start a business. Ruby's excited voice was particularly noticeable. Is this from the bar? How do you have this recording? It seems the conversation got recorded accidentally while I was recording a video. Michael's face alternated between pale and flushed. So, you plan to take my $12 million and enjoy it with your mistress, right? It's unfair that you're the only one benefiting. I can't accept that. You're playing around at the cafe and then hit the jackpot. And you can't even forgive 1 or 2 affairs of mine. From my point of view, you're the one who's messed up. I couldn't understand how my part-time job and his affair could be compared. But I decided to let it slide. The important thing was the fact of the matter. This branch is where one of our wedding guests, your senior, works, right? It's a small world. So what if my senior works there? It's none of your business. I showed them the video because they wanted to see it. They're interested in flair bartending. Oh, and it was the video of your conversation, by the way. Michael suddenly stood up so forcefully that his chair toppled over with a loud noise. Hey, what are you thinking, showing that to my senior? They said they wanted to see it, so I thought why not? What are you doing to me? Michael slumped down, holding his head in his hands. Indeed, it makes sense. One of Michael's seniors who attended our wedding was rumored to become a branch manager. Being noticed by the senior means instantly veering off the promotion track. Everything I've built up, and now known by the senior of all people. You thought it'd be fine as long as you weren't caught, right? Well, that's not how it works. Ultimately, Michael fell from his career path and now reportedly spends his days as a counter staff, constantly dealing with paper shredding. Overtaken by his juniors and treated as a nuisance at the bank, his situation is his own doing. He chose this path and should accept the consequences. Ruby was called up and told that resignation was her only option, despite her insistence on not wanting to resign. Once her affair was publicly known, resignation was the only choice. She eventually resigned. Ruby was apparently incompetent at work, unable to understand instructions and doing sloppy work. She's registered with a temp agency but not working. Post-divorce, they blame each other, hurling insults. I think it's not just because of the affair, but also due to not taking proper care of each other. I continued practicing latte art and decided to go independent. Contemplating my future, the cafe owner and my coworkers, including part-timers, were incredibly supportive, allowing me to open my cafe as goodwill. After graduating high school, I monotonously worked at the city office. But following Michael on his transfer and discovering the fascinating world of latte art was a stroke of luck. If I had stayed at the city office while Michael transferred alone, I likely would have never encountered latte art. There were uncertain nights, but thanks to word of mouth and magazine features, customer traffic has been steady. I never dreamed of owning my own shop, showing how unpredictable life can be. That's what makes life interesting. I'm overjoyed by the simple happiness of enriching my days with what I love.